Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome to New Life Live. So glad that you are with us today. It's Chris Williams, licensed marriage and family therapist, and I have licensed psychologist Dr. Jill Hubbard. How are you doing?
Good, Chris.
And joining us shortly will be licensed marriage and family therapist JJ West. We will be in studio for 2 hours. And I got news. JJ, you there?
I'm here.
Oh, wow.
So
Yay,
good
JJ.
to hear your voice, man. And we're going to be in studio for 2 hours today, taking your phone calls. Give us a call. We would love to talk to you. Love to work things out. That's what we do for a living. Let's work things out together. So give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Again, it's 1-800-229-3000. And JJ, I got a question for you.
Okay.
What wisdom do you have for us today?
Well, sir, the wisdom I have is, you know how we feel rushed most of the time?
Yes.
No, I would know nothing about that.
No, nothing about that. Right. There's just a few of us. And then we enter into the holiday season, the Christmas season, Thanksgiving to New Year's, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like the rush factor gets kicked up to 10.
Yes.
Everything feels like we're running around. I mean, today I'm going from counseling sessions to radio interview to being on radio to more counseling sessions to preparing for podcast. Like, it's just a crazy schedule today.
Where's the Christmas shopping in there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the real question. Where is the Advent, the
Yes.
reflection,
That's good.
Thank you.
Yep.
the slowing down to say, come, Lord Jesus, into this space, Emmanuel,
Yeah.
God with us. God not with us as a bystander who is not really caring about what's going on with us, but God with us as the one who sees our hearts, the one who sees our frantic schedule and says, come to me, all of you who are weary and heavy laden, come and I will give you rest. He doesn't say, I'll give you more to do. He doesn't say, I'll give you a shopping list.
Yeah.
He doesn't say, I'll give you a guilt trip. He says, come and I will give you rest.
That's so
for your
good.
souls. And I just need that. I need that because
Yep.
I take on too much, and I need to pause and reflect on the one who came to be with me and still comes to be with me and invites me to be with him.
That's so good, JJ. I was thinking about Isaiah 7:14, and before I read the verse, I'll say this: we're oftentimes also looking for a sign, right? Kids will look for signs of Santa Claus, but many of us are looking for a sign from God. God, will you show up for me? Will you, if I do prioritize Advent, will you be there for me? And Isaiah 7:14 says this: therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. And here's what it is. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and we will call him Emmanuel, God with us. And I think we can't see a sign we're not looking for. And so this is such a huge reminder, JJ, that, hey, we're looking for a sign from God. Hey, let's keep our eyes open. Let's create this space, because what is more important, more essential, more urgent in our life than God with us? Yeah. JJ, thank you so much for that. And again, such fun wisdom and important wisdom. Again, we're going to be in studio for a couple of shows today. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Whatever you're struggling with, whatever you want to work out, let us work it out with you, give you some guidance. I have some great wisdom with me today, so take advantage of it, and we'll be back right after this.
Hello, everyone. everybody. This is Becky Brown. And as we end 2024, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's given to New Life. Your generosity makes it possible for hurting people to connect with the help that they need, help that can change everything for them and that will continue to have a ripple effect on their families, their communities, and even the world. Right now, you can double the impact of your giving through a $385,000 matching gift opportunity. Every dollar gets doubled. To make a tax-deductible gift and be part of life change, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com or text the word MATCH to 28950. That's 28950. I know that you want to make a difference in someone's life, and you will as you give to the match. Thank you in advance.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. So glad that you are with us today. Again, we were taking calls for a couple of shows today. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. If there is a reason that you can't call in while we are airing, you can submit your question and we'll answer it on the air. You can go to newlife.com/radio. And right now we're going to be talking with Pat in Bel Air, Maryland. Pat, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Doing good. Good to talk to you.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Well, tell us what's going on.
Okay, so I have an adult son who's living out on his own now. He was diagnosed with a mental illness probably about the age of 18.
Okay.
Throughout that time, he's been pretty well, but as the years went on, things, I guess, progressively, gotten a little bit much worse.
Mm-hmm.
So he's at the point he's able to live out on his own, stays on his own and everything, which is great. Lives independently, pays his bills and do all of that. My question is, with him living on his own, these last, I said, year or two, he's very isolated, doesn't talk to anyone, I guess part of his mental illness. And I guess my question is, still as a parent, as a mother, and it's been kind of hard for me in somewhat ways because I'm trying to get him to, get himself around others and to get better for himself. And he doesn't even want anyone to come see him or just do anything. He'll communicate with me on the phone, but as far as coming out or trying to visit or family members. And I think part of it is because during his transition, when I've been trying to get help for him, I think he still had that anger in him because I went out there, and did what I did as a parent. Yeah,
because you needed to intervene to get him the help that he needed, right? Pat, what, if you don't mind me asking, what mental illness is he diagnosed with?
He was diagnosed with schizophrenia and maybe bipolar, if I can recall.
Okay.
Schizoaffective disorder, where he has both that are alternating?
It might be both.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and so the question, Pat, is, hey, how much do I help? What can I do? As a parent who loves my child, who's struggling with this severe mental illness, what do I do? How much do I help? Would that be correct?
Sorry, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, Jill, where does Pat go from here?
This is hard, Pat, but because of his illness, that does cause him to want to be alone, especially if there's some paranoia with the schizophrenia. What happens if you just show up?
If I just show up, I don't know. He may strike out as, I didn't invite you here, because he lives in a apartment complex, which actually he will have to come down. I just can't walk to his door and ring the doorbell and say, hey, by the way, I'm here.
Right.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, other people live in the building, but I don't know. I think I did that like once before, and it didn't come across quite well.
Okay, it didn't quite work. And he's in just a regular apartment living situation, or is this a board and care situation?
No, it's apartment. It's more
Okay.
so a senior citizen building, and the individual that lives in that building are either have to be a senior citizen
Okay.
or individual on disability or receiving supplement income.
Oh,
Kind of
okay,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And does he monitor his own medication?
He actually is. I'm aware doesn't take medication.
Oh,
Well, and so
Yeah.
that's a big part of the problem, because people with schizoaffective disorder, where they alternate through, psychotic symptoms and then a mood disorder, medication really helps.
Right. And he refuses to do medication. And surprisingly, he's been living on his own for 10 years. I
Wow.
mean, paying his rent, pays his bills, went to college.
Oh,
Went
wow.
to college, finished his college degree, got on the bus every day, went to a very nice college here in Maryland.
Wow.
Finished his college degree. And when I was part of the NAMI group where you go in.
Yep.
And yeah. And when I would share my story with others, they was like, "Are you kidding me, Pam? This can't be true." And I was like, "Yeah, he pays his bills. He lives on his own, buys his food, went to college."
So what you're saying is he's chosen his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pat. So other than him avoiding social situations, where do you see his mental health disorder showing up? What other problematic or painful behaviors are you seeing?
I really don't see anything because we communicate. Meaning once a week, I will call and check on him. It's like, "Hey, how you doing?" We'll have a small conversation, and then that's the way it goes. So anything else, I don't know because he's so isolated. I can't tell you how he behaves or what he does. I don't believe he's.
Yeah.
And will he come around like for Christmas, Pat, or any holiday?
No.
He won't join
No.
the family.
No. And we only live maybe 20, 25 minutes apart, and I haven't seen him in a year.
Okay. So when you're communicating, it's only by phone.
Only by phone.
Okay. Gotcha. Wow. So there's, a couple of things here, Pat, to keep in mind. One is just your own need to grieve. The fact that you're longing for a deeper connection with your son, one where you get to see him, not just talk to him, but get to see him on a regular basis. You're longing for him to have deeper connection with others as well, and that's not happening. And so there's a need to grieve that. There's a unmet longing, and so your heart is hurting because of that, and you need to grieve that. But there's another piece to this, which is to unfortunately recognize that I can't fix, change, or control anyone else, including my children. And sometimes the people that I love make choices that I say, "Oh, this is not healthy for you. This is not God's best for you." And so his living in isolation, we know is not God's best for him, and yet we can't make him choose that. We can't make him want that. And so there's a need to step back. We don't stop praying. We don't stop inviting. We don't stop encouraging, but we do let ourselves off the hook as I'm not responsible for making him choose a certain path. I don't have, God doesn't require that of me, right?
Right. And JJ, you used the word invite. And another thought I had is, Pat, you can let your son know that you are aware that he's living the life of his choosing, and that you try to respect that. At the same time, you are his mother, and you guys have different needs for connection. And the distance that he has chosen is really hard for you. And would he consider ever meeting with you in person? Because as his mom, sometimes talking on the phone just doesn't quite feel like enough. And so would he just think about that? Could you guys meet at a park? Could you meet, somewhere to just chat in person every so often? And would he consider doing that as a gift to you? Because your need to see him is greater than his need to see you. And it's okay that it's different. But sometimes we have to put that out there instead of putting it on him and forcing him to have that need. He doesn't have that need, but you do.
Right. Yeah,
and
that's
it's
a good
okay
point.
to name that and ask him if he would meet you halfway.
Oh, that's really good, Jill. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I was thinking, just reflecting off of what my co-hosts were sharing, is that, we can't heal him.
No.
But we can help him.
Yeah.
And so in that, piggybacking off of what JJ was saying, that I was picking up on is like that there is this two things that need to go together for you as Mom Pat, and that is to grieve the relationship that you desire with your son, but you may never have. Mm-hmm. And that's a big grief.
And that all the hopes that as a mom, you want your kids to be happy, to have love, to have people. What happens when you're gone? You don't want them to be alone.
Exactly.
But he's actually okay being alone.
Yes.
And he's done a lot more than a lot of people in his shoes.
Absolutely. And with that grief, building the resilience inside of you that you're probably going to need to reach out to him. Like I would say, this is just arbitrary, but a 10-to-1 ratio. That for the 10 times you reach out to him, he's going to receive it once.
Okay.
But I want you to know that what's going on inside of him is like there's a default system in him, and his default is passivity and isolation.
Well, he can't trust his own mind.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And there's probably a lot of, is dominated by fear, and there's probably a lot of shame in there. And so going off of, I think what you were saying, Jill, is really important, is that choose to meet in neutral areas, having conversations about non-depth stuff, non-deep things.
Okay.
Yeah. And hey, we're actually super encouraged that he has this condition, not on medication, and he has a semi-functional life.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's the part that I'm like, okay, he can live on his own. God forbid something happens to me tomorrow. He doesn't have to go to a home or do it. He can actually live on his own. So I'm grateful for that.
Right.
I'm definitely grateful.
There's no crises that you have to tend to, right?
Right.
And so part of it is acceptance on your part, right? And so you talk about what's the latest thing you're reading? What's the shows are you watching, right?
Right.
And Pat, go ahead, JJ.
I was just going to say, to build on that, because we were talking about grieving, what grieving allows us to do is to say, I'll be okay, even though there's this thing that I want that I don't have, or there was this thing that I had that I lost. I'm not, it doesn't destroy me. I can still be okay. Okay doesn't mean I'm fine and I don't have any feelings about it. Okay means that I can continue to function. I can continue to live in this reality. God is enough for me. And so that's the importance of grieving the loss of the relationship that you long for.
That's great. And Pat, just one more thing. I want to give you a big shout out for joining a NAMI group.
Yeah.
That National Alliance of Mental Illness, it provides such great resources, especially for family members of people who are struggling with some pretty severe mental illnesses, and such a great advocacy group. We're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Workbook for Grief. And again, we just want to encourage you to stay in that process and love your son the way you can, and build that resiliency to stay in communication and stay in relationship with him, even though his default is going to resist it. So, man, we should all be so lucky as to have a mom like Pat. And ironically, my mom's name is also Pat, and I'm actually lucky to have my mom named Pat. She's been such a great support in my life, and so. A big shout out to all the moms who selflessly and sacrificially.
Being a mom is about grieving and suffering.
Yes.
Right? Sacrifice, grief, suffering. That's what we sign up for.
Well, speaking of grief, coming up in the new year, we have these new courses. These are 12-week online programs for anyone who is seeking to gain clarity and find healing and transformation after experiencing the loss of a loved one, or it could be a divorce, a loss of a marriage. We also have one for weight loss challenges as well coming up here in the new year. These courses are facilitated by a New Life counselor and coach, and they will have weekly Zoom meetings. There'll be an hour, and then there'll be work to do, obviously, in between. But we have the Lose It for Life and the grief recovery courses coming up January 13th. That's not far away. They're capped at 9 per group, so you want to sign up today and as quickly as possible. We have the divorce recovery coming up April 7th, so give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com, click on the Get Help tab, and you can find out all the information you need, as well as you can register there for those courses. You know, that group process we see in our workshops and intensives all the time, that it is the most powerful and transformative aspect of what we do. So I'm excited that in the new year we're offering that for more people to get involved in, and most importantly, experience God's transformation in their life. We're going to be back right after this.
New Life Ministries saved my completely broken marriage.
No matter how much hurt you've had to face, no marriage is beyond hope. At New Life Ministries Intimacy and Marriage Weekend, licensed counselors will help you rebuild communication skills and renew your commitment to each other.
You're building authentic intimacy, and you're learning how to connect on an emotional and relational level. You're learning how to listen. You're learning how to identify those core patterns that get in the way of good relationship.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is February 14th to the 16th in Orange County, California. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
3.5 years later, we're still going strong. I would encourage anybody who's struggling in their marriage to go. They are more effective than anything else we tried.
For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. So glad that you are with us today. We want to head right back to the phones. We're going to go to Justin in Dallas, Texas, listening on KWRD. Justin, so glad that you're with us today. Tell us what's happening, how we can help you.
Hey, thanks a lot. So I wanted to run a scenario by you. Basically, I'm in recovery from pornography addiction.
Uh-huh.
And I've been clean for about 6 years now.
Okay.
And here's my situation, though. As part of this recovery journey, my wife has asked me questions about, my lust and my integrity walk and stuff like that. And it's gotten to a place where she knows what I'll call my trigger group, particular type of woman.
Yeah.
And what that has created is a pervasive environment of no safety.
Yes.
We can't even build intimacy. On top of that, there's a marital history of me not choosing her in various ways, emotionally, sexually, obviously with the pornography.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been married 21 years. I've got 3 kids, 16, 14, 12. And sadly, it's like there's nothing left. I mean, we can't even
Justin, let me jump in with a question. Has your wife done any of her own recovery work in this area?
I'm so focused on my side of the street.
I love that.
I think that I think she would say yes.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, what have you done in your recovery? What has she done in her recovery?
In terms of me, I go to a weekly men's integrity group at my church.
Excellent.
I've gone to Every Man's Battle.
Awesome.
I have I've done 12-step work, and I see a personal counselor every 2 weeks.
Oh, so you're doing the gig. I absolutely love hearing that, Justin. You're doing everything you need to do. And what kind
I still struggle with lust. I'm not going to
yes.
be here. And the reality is my wife knows the intricacies of what that is.
So let me jump in, right? So because we're going to guide this, because this is actually, unfortunately, a very common occurrence. So what has your wife done? What kind of support has she gotten through her own sense of real betrayal trauma in this process?
I will say in the very initial stages, she went to, I'm talking, 5-6 years ago. She went to POSA, Partners of Sex Addicts.
Okay.
And, she had participated in in a 12-step of her own, and I think she reaches out occasionally to her former sponsor, stuff like that. I think.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So JJ, I'm going to hand it over to you, man. You're the expert here. What do you have for Justin?
Well, I want to also echo what you said, Chris, which is, Justin, I so appreciate the work that you've put in. And your wife has put in. You guys are doing many of the things that we would recommend. My first question, though, Justin, is it sounds like you're saying that there is an expectation or maybe a desire on your wife's part that you would never experience lust anymore, that you would never have any kind of physical, sexual desire, temptation at all again, other than for her. Am I hearing that correctly, or am I mishearing that?
I think that's a good question, and I think that just asking the question in that way, right? It seems like no, absolutely. Of course, a man might experience lust, but I think in reality and practice, I think that's there is a gap there, and I think also part of this stemmed from initially, I didn't want to share, these little details about my sexual integrity. I thought that was more for an accountability partner. But, I've read other sources and books that have said, no, if your wife wants to know, tell her. What do you have to hide?
Yeah. If the two of you were sitting in my office and your wife said, I want him to tell me every single time he's tempted, I would probably say to her, I don't think that's healthy for you to hear every single time he's tempted. I do think it's important for him to share with you anytime he's broken a primary or secondary boundary. I think that's important for you guys to talk about. But for him to share every single time he's tempted, that actually is going to do damage to your heart. But if she says, no, I need to know, I'm not going to say, no, you can't have that information. I'm going to say, Justin, she's asking for this. Now, the critical question is, what are you doing when you are tempted? So you're out at church and there's a woman who fits your demographic for what it is that you're drawn to. You encounter her in some way. What do you do in response? That's going to be a critical question to how is it allowing her heart to heal rather than continuing to do damage to her heart. So Justin, you hear the music. I know we're coming up on the break. So hopefully when we come back from the break, we can give you a little bit more information in terms of how should you respond when those things happen.
Yeah, and Justin, you're not alone. Your wife is not alone. This is a tough area to navigate, but a really important point to navigate in your marriage and in your recovery. So we're going to head to the break, but if you want to give us a call, we're going to be here for 2 shows, 1-800-229-3000. We'll be right back.
Restore gave me strength. It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When 2 people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, May 2nd through the 4th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. So glad that you are with us today. Again, we're going to be in studio for 2 programs today. If you are struggling with an issue, give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We would love to talk to you. We are talking with Justin in Dallas, Texas right now. Been clean and sober from pornography for 6 years, which is fantastic, doing a lot of really, really good work, but the marriage is still struggling. And so, JJ, you are guiding Justin in this process. Where do you take him from here?
Yeah, so Justin, I would love to hear your answer to the question I posed right before the break, which is, what do you do in response when you're in that situation? You encounter a woman that fits what you tend to be drawn to, and so there's a trigger, there's a temptation. What do you do in response to that temptation?
My go-to is to acknowledge the temptation, right? And I've found that, resisting and saying no, like that doesn't really work for me. I acknowledge it, and then I pray for that woman, and I surrender it, as best I can. I surrender the temptation to God and say, Lord, I can't handle this, and I'm asking you to take it. And that does work. I mean, it does, but I'm not, perfect. I do have second looks. I don't fantasize, but I do have second looks sometimes,
Okay. And is that the part that your wife has trouble with, has problems with, is the second looks, or is the problem that you were tempted to begin with?
I think it's the second looks, and just stop it. Don't do that.
Okay. So she's got a valid point. That's painful for her. That when you are taking those second looks or those lingering looks, that's painful for her heart. She's got a point there. So she's not saying, "Hey, I don't I don't want you to ever be tempted. I want you to live in a world where you only have eyes for me. Nothing else ever crosses your path. She's not asking for some impossible scenario, but she is saying, when you take those second looks or lingering looks, that hurts my heart. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you respond when she says that?
I'm sorry, and that I'm committed to my recovery, you know, and I really can't say anything other than that, because it'll sound like an excuse, which maybe it is an excuse, right? I mean, in my recovery program, it's, you know, no pornography or masturbation, number one, and number two, that's sobriety, and number two, a progressive victory over lust.
Yeah.
And I do get better. I am, but
that's great.
Is it every man's battle? You know, I mean, is it every man's battle?
Yeah. So Justin, it is an ongoing struggle, and you are doing the work. I think, you know, and you said you're committed to recovery. That's great. I think it's important to remember that non-addicts have they have a delayed reaction and response to the addict getting well. So she lived 15 years of the marriage, maybe unaware of the problem or aware of it, and now it's like, oh no, never again. So there's a fear factor, right? And it's like the addict wants people to be happy. Like, look, I've done this, and Guys, 6 years is really commendable, but something in her heart has not quite caught up yet. And so I'm wondering, okay, what is it? And Chris and I were talking at the break about, okay, when you look, what is that meaning to her? Like you said, you're committed to recovery. I think she needs to know you're committed to her.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And have you sat and listened and to her pain? Of what does it feel like to her every time you do a lingering look? Like, I think you need to connect that behavior to the real person, because being on the receiving end for her of seeing her husband, and I talk to so many women, they know every time their husband looks. And it is a stab to their heart every time. And they then tell themselves something about themselves. I'm not enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this enough. And they feel, you know, in the core of their being, it's just like they've just been cut to the quick. And so that fear of, we lived this way for so long, I know he's doing well, but what if? But what if, right? And she needs to take some responsibility for her anxiety. Yeah. And you said she used to be in groups. Like, is she doing anything ongoing? Because it sounds like she still needs to.
Yeah.
As well as, what about marital therapy for the two of you? I haven't heard that in the mix.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. So,
piece.
Justin, there's 3 primary relationships that need recovery. So there is the relationship that you have to your addiction. There's the relationship that she has to your addiction, and then there is the marital recovery. And it just doesn't sound like you guys have done much. You've done great work.
Sure.
But the missing piece right now seems to be the marital piece. Getting in a room, working with a therapist who understands betrayal trauma, understands addiction, and start working this out.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I don't disagree. I think, you know, the foundation of that third leg of the stool, so to speak, is the marital. And I mean, the reality is there's just no safety.
Well, I think that
we really can't build anything without that safety.
That's exactly right.
The best example, I think, is like this, right? If I had an affair, a physical affair with my neighbor, let's say I lived in Seattle, and I moved from Seattle, there would be that time and distance from that affair partner, right? Such that there could be some healing because I'm not around that person anymore. But my scenario is completely different in the sense that no matter where I go,
but Justin, your scenario. But what I want to say is your scenario is not unique at all. We see this. We see this all.
You know,
the
we live in California, right at the beach.
Yeah.
You should, you know, the beach is not a safe place.
And you're right. It has to be safe. And there are 3 sources of safety here: the safety in myself, the other person's safety in themselves, and then the safety in the marriage. What I want to really, really encourage and challenge you guys to do is get to our intimacy and marriage workshop. Because it will provide the safe place for you guys to open up these deeper conversations.
I think that would be great.
And JJ, I mean, as a facilitator, as a speaker at the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop,
JJ is busy.
Yeah, can I get an assist here, man? What's Justin and his wife going to get?
Without a doubt, you can get an assist. Yeah, Justin, because I think one of the pieces to Chris's point, the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop can help you guys work on the marriage relationship that's been wounded. It can also help you each individually look at the wounds that you brought into the relationship that keep getting triggered, that keep getting reopened by all of these triggers that happen in living in the real world. So your wife has wounds that she brought into the relationship that happened in her childhood that are being reopened every single time she sees you taking a double look.
Yeah.
And so she needs to be able to do the work of identifying what those wounds are, and beginning to do the work of letting God heal those wounds, but also experiencing you coming alongside her and saying, I recognize that wound. I recognize that even though I didn't have a role in creating the initial wound, I do have a role in re-aggravating the wound, and I have a calling role from God to be a part of your healing so that wound doesn't have to keep being re-aggravated over and over and over.
That's really good.
So we'll talk about that at the workshop for sure.
That's awesome. Well, Justin, please join us here in Orange County in February. It's going to be February 14th.
It's a perfect Valentine's gift.
For sure. Even before then, jump into some couples counseling. Invite your wife into it. That, as Jill was saying, this really important thing, not because you're choosing just sobriety or just recovery, but because you're choosing her and you want a good marriage and you want to see if you can breathe life back into it. Justin, we're going to send you a copy of the book Worthy of Her Trust, and know that that's going to help you both on this journey of healing and recovery in your marriage. Listen, we are able to offer help, for instance, in marriages that are in crisis, for people that are in crisis. In fact, there is going to be Christmas celebrations this year with intact families because of you, because of the support that you give to New Life that allows us to do what we do. So please join others like Jenny in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or Denise in Joliet, Illinois, or John in Ipswich, Massachusetts. A shout out to you guys for contributing to New Life. Anything you give right now is doubled. And so join these other great people that have helped us keep doing what we're doing. You can call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or you can simply text the word MATCH, M-A-T-C-H, to 28950. Again, that's 28950. And a reminder, if you want to join us today, give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We'll be back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Again, we're so glad that you are with us today. Again, we're going to finish out this show, but we're going to be in studio for another program right after this. If we didn't happen to get to your call, hang on. We'll get to it in the next program. If you want to give us a call, give it and talk to us today. Work out an issue. We'd love to do that with you. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We are now going to go to Patty in Spokane, Washington, listening on KTRW. Patty, how you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me on.
No problem.
You are well today.
Yes, we are, and thank you for calling in. How can we help you?
Well, I first want to say I really admire Justin. I mean, you guys really talked about something that I'm going to hit on here. My question is, the Facebook internet behavior that is on many Facebooks of men, is this to be a concern to me? How do I deal with it? So I am divorced now after 3 years after being married many, many, many years. And the Facebook internet behavior is who is following them and who he is following, the followers and the following. And when I am brave enough to look out of curiosity, which with my ex-husband, I asked him to get rid of these, I call them, may I say, the booby girls on. When you click on them, there's not very nice pictures. And to me, it's a huge concern. It's an addiction. And in a new relationship, a friendship with a man right now, I mean, it's friends. He lives 4 hours away. I went to dinner once and talked on the phone. I've known him for many years, too. But that's what he does on his Facebook. So am I to be concerned? How do I address
Wait, he looks at those types of pictures on his Facebook?
Well, I think that how do they find these women? So they're either paying them to click on them, because sometimes when you click on, they're asking for money, and you can go deep into their websites. They have thousands of followers.
So how are you knowing this is who he's following?
I look at his Facebook page, and I've looked at all old high school, the other high school. I mean, I'm old, okay? I'm over 60. I look at
well, we're all old then.
high school,
well,
high
some of
school
us.
guys. One's been married many years, and he's got the same girls that pop up. It's like, do these women know? For me, it's a huge fear factor. I'm bringing it from the marriage, and I don't know how to deal with it.
Well, and I think that is something to bring into a new relationship, that you've been really hurt by this. And so in starting a new relationship, you are going to have a greater sensitivity to it. Although I think most women are not that interested in men looking at those kinds of pictures. And so that you know, you may have to ask a guy right up front, you know, how do you handle this? What are your issues around sexual integrity?
Well, and there's so much access, right?
Right.
And so...
But once you click on, even accidentally, you start getting things. So,
well, and it's a two-way street here, right?
Yeah.
Because there are, you know, these companies that are literally making billions of dollars. I'm not talking millions. I'm talking billions of dollars off of these paid sites.
Yeah.
So you better believe that they got algorithms targeting men.
Yep.
You know.
For sure.
Now,
without a doubt,
those algorithms are put on steroids when the men participate back.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And that probably doesn't help your fear factor, but yeah, go for it, JJ.
Well, I was going to say, you also have to recognize that it's not apples to apples when you're talking about different social media platforms. So there are some like Facebook where you have to actively allow someone to be your friend, to choose that, to accept their invitation. But there's plenty of Instagram and others where someone can choose to start following you that you have no relationship with, that you've not given specific permission to that person.
Well,
to
unless
follow
it's on
you.
private, then you have to request.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So what I'm saying though is there's different ways that that those requests can come in. Certainly, the more you respond to those requests, the more those requests are going to come in. But there's plenty that come in just randomly, right? That just happen. Now, it is important to ask the question: what do you do when you get an invitation, a friendship, a follow, or whatever from an attractive, what we assume to be an attractive woman? It may just be a robot that stole a picture from somebody else's page, right? Like a lot of times that's the case. But what do you do in response, right? To Jill's question earlier, tell me about your own story of sexual integrity, because I do have this wound from my past marriage that I don't want to repeat. I don't want to walk down that road again. And so I want to know, how do you respond when these things happen? What I would not recommend is going into the super sleuth mode where you're going to figure it out. You're going to, go down, look at all his pages and figure out what's really going on. Have conversations with him. And if what you see doesn't line up with what you're hearing, that's a good red flag to say, yeah, this is not a good relationship for me. This isn't a healthy relationship for me. But I do agree with Jill that you want to have
to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that sleuthing, while it feels like, okay, I've got to know, and you're trying to protect yourself, it's also like policing someone else versus just bringing it out into the open, right? You're going to learn a lot more by putting it out on the table with him and then comparing with a lot less anxiety. Sleuthing creates a lot of anxiety long term.
Yeah, and there's actually a term we can use for that as well. So, Patty, what my concern is for your heart, and that you're carrying this betrayal from your husband.
Yeah.
It's really, really painful, and you don't deserve that. You don't need that. But there's this weird thing that happens with that pain point, especially in betrayal trauma, is for some reason it wants affirmation. And so what it tends to do is go pain shopping.
Right. Well, I was fooled for so many years.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, right? It comes out of that place
now
of,
it's like, I'm not going to be fooled. I'm smart now.
That's really good.
So,
duped again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that fear.
So that pain shopping.
Yeah. Out of a real place. But what we end up doing is just buying more and finding more pain.
More pain.
Yeah.
And so, Patty,
Patty, did you ever
very aware? Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Good. So, Patty, I'm just curious, through the divorce, through all of that, and your ex-husband's Facebook online behaviors, did you ever do any recovery care for yourself? Go to a restore workshop? Do individual counseling, any of that?
We even tried to counsel ourselves, because there was many years of cheating on top of this behavior. So, but I've been to a counselor. I'm waiting for another one in January.
Okay.
I have like 4 wonderful girlfriends. I've talked to church, and I have a couple nice Christian women at church.
Yeah.
And so, yes.
Patty, let me jump in only because we're coming up against the end of the show. I love hearing you have what I call the essential tribe, the people that are going to help walk me through this. And to JJ's point, I want to invite you to our Restore Intensive. It's not coming up until May, but I think it'll be a real kind of more breakthrough for you into this recovery, and it's going to be in Dallas, May 2nd through the 4th. And also, I think this is so important. Jill, you had mentioned this. JJ, you alluded to it, is that we need to have the conversations about sexual integrity and probably earlier than what we'd want in dating, but it's just a reality of our world today. Thank you all for being with us. JJ, Jill, thank you guys so much for your wisdom. Hey, we're going to be in studio for another show. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Be well.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.